on where you're watching us from, which time zone you're in. Welcome to The Leader. And today, it's all about elections. Yes, elections. How prepared are we for elections? And we're glad to have with us in studio this morning Commissioner Irene Masid from IEBC, that is the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Asante, Edmond. And I want to tell all the viewers, good morning.
Yes.
Good morning, and we are here to actually answer and address most of the issues of Kenyans, especially to do with IPC. As you know, we are the commission of the moment now.
Yes,
Because
you are.
all the focus
That's
is
right.
on us.
Well, let's start by, first of all, getting to know who is Commissioner Irene Masid. Who are you? And what do you do at IEBC?
Yeah, to Kenyans who don't know me, I'm one of the 7 commissioners of IPC, 5 men, 2 women, me and Vice Chair Cherera. And I want to say I'm an alumni of Nairobi University, 1992 class. Also alumni of UK Manchester, 98, 99, and also alumni of Nairobi University, 2015. I'm a social scientist and also an advocate of High Court of Kenya. I'm a mother with grown-up children, my last born being 20 years actually tomorrow. He was born July 2002. I thank God for everything, but majorly I'm a social scientist.
2 very quick things that come through from your introduction. 2 boxes I can tick. 1, you are an alumni of an institution, and I'm sure you have some graduation photographs.
I do. I know where you're heading to, Edmond.
And number 2, you have
plus the booklet, plus the photo, plus the villagers who came
yes,
that
they
day.
came,
I can assure you they are there.
They are there.
Yes.
And then number 2, you have grown-up children. Are they voters?
Yes.
They are voters.
They are. Even me.
You're also a voter.
Yes. You cannot advocate what you don't believe in.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, IBC is the institution of the moment.
Yes.
And to quickly dive into it, we get to hear of IBC once every 5 years or once every election cycle or when we have by-elections. Do you then go on holiday in between? What else does IBC do?
Yeah, you are right, Edmond. Actually, we're here now because the way you said we are the commission of the moment because of elections, which is a very important issue, putting leaders into office, all leaders who govern this country. But I want to say there's more that IPC does than only conducting elections, by-elections, and referenda. The Constitution is very clear, and it gives IPC a lot of responsibilities and functions. And I want to mention some of them.
Let's take a quick commercial break because I want the viewers to tell a friend, to tune in. A very short commercial break.
Thank you.
And we'll pick it on from there.
Thank you.
Asante sana.
Yeah.
Irene, you're telling us what else IBC does between election cycles. Some of us think you go on holiday.
It's because we are not at that time commission of the moment. Actually, we are silent. For the record, the Constitution is very clear. It gives IBC so many functions. And I want to say one of them, apart from conducting elections, that is for general election, by-elections, referendum, there are other activities which we engage in. One of those is there is what we call continuous voter registration. Voter registration is a continuous activity from one election to another one. We only suspend during maybe general election. Voter education is continuous. We do regulation of political parties processes, especially when they are trying to get members to file and everything, they have to liaise with us to ensure that they meet the requirements and they follow the law as it is. We do delimitation of constituency and ward boundaries. Remember, boundaries are done between 8 and every 12 years. And the last time it was done, it was 2012. So we are actually in between the 8 and 12 years, which means immediately after elections, after we do post-election evaluation, we should embark on boundaries because we have only until 2023 to finalize. So that's a major activity. That's a big activity which we'll be embarking on. We also enforce the Electoral Code of Conduct. Though it has been suspended now by the court, it's one of the activities and one of the documents which IBC use to ensure that all those who are participating in elections, whether you are in or out, you follow the law and ensure that everything is done as per the requirements of the law, not to offend any part of the law. We have also the enforcement of campaign financing. It's one also of the laws which, as you know, it's not seen the light of the day. It's been in Parliament, it's not been passed, but that's another one of the mandates of IBC. IBC also is supposed to monitor, evaluate its activities across all the country. You know, we have staff, a lot of staff, over 800 staff, permanent and pensionable. We have 47 other counties, 290 in constituencies, and assistants. And then we have staff at the head office, and consultants also assist. So it's a permanent commission with permanent staff, except us who are only we work on timelines. We also deal with the issues of observers, and we work with stakeholders, other stakeholders. As you know, we are not independent per se, we are also interdependent. And even as we go to elections, remember, we need security. From the polling station, where we get at least 2 per each polling station, and our polling stations are 46,233. So imagine security 46,233 times 2. Before, you think now outside that marked area for voting. So with no doubt, we have to work with the security agency, IG. We work also with ODPP. You know, we have so many cases. IPC, we handle election disputes up to elections. But after elections, it is now handled by the courts. But before we do that, we work in collaboration with ODPP, especially in investigations. And we hand over. Remember, for code of conduct, we normally prosecute them, but now that power has been removed from us. But that doesn't stop us from forwarding the names, the reports of those who have not done well to ODPP. So we work closely with ODPP. Judicial Committee on Elections, that's judicial. We work closely. Most of the cases, all cases touching on elections, by election, on or any function of IPC, IPC is always enjoined, either as a respondent or as an interested party. So that is another major issue. Even we still have cases, some cases take even up to more than 5 years. So IPC is engaged. We have, the way I told you, we have continuous voter registration. We have voter education ongoing. We have 9 fully established directorates, each handling a different function. We have for voter registration, voter education, boundaries. We have legal committee. We have one for IT. We have for supplies. So there's a lot going on within IPC. And you know, also handling political parties is not easy. We have now at least 83 registered political parties and at 81 fronted candidates. So you can imagine the constituency we are managing. It's a huge constituency. So immediately after elections, the focus shifts, because that's now the focus of Kenyans will shift to leaders who have come to the office. And now they'll want to know if they are delivering on the manifestos they promised. And that's how now the limelight shifts from us. So people think IPC is doing nothing, but we are working a lot behind the scenes. Just imagine immediately after election, we need to do post-election evaluation to inform our processes going forward, to improve where it was not good, and also proceed on issues which we think are good.
Wow, that's quite a bit that's on the mandate in terms of what IBC does.
So it's huge,
yes.
And I'll invite you to look at Constitution Article 88, which constitutes IPC, as well as Article 89, which has the mandate, constitutional mandate. Yes, if you go through start from 87, 88, 89, you'll really understand the much what IPC does.
Now, in the last general election, that was 2017, and then of course we had the repeat. IBC was on the dock to some extent.
Yes.
And the Supreme Court, you know, in its verdicts, you know, was able to point fingers at various stakeholders, as it were.
Yeah.
On the checklist that IBC was supposed to have addressed.
Yes.
What are some of those issues? And today, would you say that on that checklist, those boxes have been ticked so that it gives confidence that indeed IBC is on the right path?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. It's not only you is asking it. All major political players are asking it, especially the major the whole presidential candidates. And we were addressing the same issue last week at Windsor when we met them as candidates. I want to say for record that when the Supreme Court nullified elections in 2017, the major issue which was raised was on the processes, which were not done right, leading to the election. And one of that processes which came out clearly was the transmission of presidential results. Remember, it is only presidential results which are transmitted from the polling station to constituency and to the National Tallying Center. The other elections are not. So during 2017, it was cited that the system failed, and at some point, Kenyans all over could see the system hanging. And in that, it brought anxiety. So that was one issue, major issue, that is transmission. Another one was to do with ballot stuffing, which came out, that when they looked actually, or when they counted, when they were given the ballot boxes to check what happened, they found that presidential votes were much, much more than other votes. Yet, when one goes to vote, you are given 6 ballot papers, meaning all of them should have been equally, nearly the same, and
Yes.
if not, because you have to vote anyway, whether you are voting for somebody, you are given those ballot papers, meaning you have to place in each of the
So
six.
reconciling even the
Reconciling,
others,
so
you know,
reconciliation
the
was not good. And so some of those issues, and another issue was to do with the 3 and 4G network, which this time actually, when we met stakeholders, and according to Communications Authority of Kenya, we have around 1,111 polling stations which don't have that 3G/4G network. So those were some of the issues. So when we go to the one for transmission of results, and then also the issue of that 3G network, there are some improvements. Because immediately after the repeat election, the commission, before we joined in, I'm one of the new commissioners, they did post-election evaluation to address those issues. There are quite a number of issues. There were around 17. I may not have all of them offered, but I'm talking of the major ones, So following that post-election evaluation, the commission has attempted to address those issues. One, on transmission, it has improved the systems. We had simulation testing, the first simulation testing in Bomas with all presidential candidates and their agents, which we did. But there were issues which were raised, and we are still going to have another one to see if it has improved well. But we've worked on it. But to pack it up, because it is to do with results transmission, we improved on results transmission path, whereby the Supreme Court ruled that Form 34A at the polling station is the final.
At the station?
At the polling station.
That is the final.
The
yes.
46,233 polling stations, whatever is casted there,
that is the final.
That's the final. So what happens, how we've improved is that once that vote is casted there, and the results have been tallied, agents have signed, observers have observed, the media has observed, and the political parties have, and their agents have appended the signature to that form, that result. Our presiding officer in that polling station will announce that result, and immediately after announcing, share the copies with all those in the polling station, pin a copy outside, pin in the ballot paper, and allow those inside, including the media, to take an image
of the same,
and transmit also the same image to the National Center, Bomas, and make it and transmit a copy to the public portal, whereby it can be transmitted so that everyone sees. Then now, at the National Tallying Center, this one I'm referring to the presidential vote. Once as a commission we receive, that is the returning officer now is the chairman for presidential election, receives that image. He will use that one to come up with Form 34P. No, 34C. 34B will be done at the constituency. They'll be collecting. We'll be collecting also at the National Tallying Center. But the chairman cannot announce until the original, that form which was...
The original one.
The original one will be received at the National Tallying Center.
No, but he will not announce. He cannot.
Meaning, it will be very difficult for anyone to alter those results, especially if now we've made that form accessible to all who are in that polling station. And the issue of voting will be, the way we talked, there is the issue of digital and manual register. Manual register, there is a debate ongoing. The issue also is in court, and you've had pronouncements. It seems majority want both. The digital as a register item will go by what stakeholders say and what the code guides us, because we are supposed to be facilitative, not to be obstructing Kenyans from doing what is required of them. As for the 3G network, we are working with the Communications Authority of Kenya, but we put some measures in place. We have what we call satellite modems. In the event that we don't get that 314 network address, we can use it. So we have put that one in place. Also, in all polling stations, the 46,233, each polling station has a tablet, a KIMS kit, with manual register, which has already been put in, the same as the physical one, to be used on that day. And we have extra, because in total we have 55,100 kids. So we have a difference of another 14,100 kids. Once each polling station has, we still have a balance. And this balance we've shared per ward. We have 1,450 wards. So each ward will have an extra 6 kids per cup, which are being charged. They have standby battery, and these kids are offline. So you cannot say you require power. It is offline, fully charged, it has inbuilt battery, and it has even standby kits plus standby chargers. And remember, it's only a day, so that it doesn't fail during the day. And in ensuring that it doesn't fail, we have those packets I've told you, and the register, the same register, the physical register we are talking of, is inside the kit. And 7 days before voting, we will display, we've actually truncated the register up to polling station, which means there'll be no huge register. There'll be only in a polling station a register up to only 700 maximum.
Right.
Up to only 700. You see, it's not, so it's not huge. Maximum. No. You can have a polling station with 400, 300, but the maximum for all is 700.
Right.
And that register of those 700, assuming it is 700 and below, will be at the respective polling station.
Yes.
That is 7 days before election.
Exactly.
Kenyans are free to check during that time. If your name is not there, we have an SMS code whereby you can check your details. Just do your ID, which you use to register election, or your passport, valid passport, which you use to register, hash 70,000.
Yes.
And you send a message, you'll know.
Yes.
And if you get to know that your name is not there, or you are not seeing your name, and you are a registered voter, go to the nearest constituency office of where you are registering. We are still sorting. So long as you are a registered voter, it will be sorted out. But that's why we are putting the list early enough, so that people can know, and you know your polling station. On 21st of June, the Commission cassetted register of voters. But at the county level, constituency and ward level, showing the number of registered voters for that area. This week we are cassetting for wards. No, for polling stations.
For polling stations.
Sorry, polling stations.
Yes.
So you can even tell from that register how many people are in your polling station, and you compare with the list which will be put outside. So
you can interrogate
You cannot interrogate. The only thing we've made sure we didn't put is phone numbers,
there's some critical
and ID, because of Data Protection Act. And we don't want people to take advantage of people's mobile numbers.
It's mischief.
Yeah, so we've truncated, but you'll see your full names. And if you are in a polling station, imagine it's like a sub-location, even narrower than a sub-location. Probably you might even know all the people who are within that area.
Yes.
So there's a lot of transparency, and we want everybody to have faith in the process we are going to do. So we put that one. We'll have the security. We have 4 clerks, plus we'll have at least 6 staff in each polling station: TPO, PO, and 4 assistant clerks. Yeah.
Now, that's quite informative. In terms of just even knowing that a week 2,
yes,
other polling station names are printed.
Yes.
truncated.
Yes.
You can interrogate.
Yes.
If a name is not there or you have an issue with any other name that you think shouldn't be there,
You query.
you query.
Yeah. And even in our website, you can even still get the same. You can send any information through our website. We have standby staff whose work is to just check what the public are saying daily.
So let's demystify manual register, electronic register, sitting in a KIMS kit, and come the day of the voting, because
Yes.
voting starts at
Yes.
6, right?
6. No, it starts at 6 to 5.
6 to 5.
Yes.
Now, 6 to 5.
Or if you open late, whatever time you waste the opening, you have to compensate towards the time of closing.
Now, this is voting, or those who are inside to vote, or those who are on the queue to vote. Can we demystify that? If I get
Yes.
into the bank, for example, bank
Yes.
open at, let's say, 8:30
Yes.
to 4 o'clock,
Yes.
and I get in 1 minute to 4, but my bank is popular. On the queue is 1,000 people. At 4 o'clock, will the clerk tell me, Masai Mefika?
Yes. Let me say first, let's assume this polling station has 700 people. It cannot be you are 1,000 because we put
Yes,
ours
700.
maximum 700.
Yes.
Assuming it opens at 6 and all those 700 people are there. And come 5, we still have around 40 people, for example. We'll allow all of them to vote so long as they are there within that time. They don't have to be inside the room. But an officer will now, when it reaches 5, it goes, an officer goes and stands behind the last person. And all of those who have arrived will be allowed to vote because they arrived within the time.
Yes.
But again, we give priority to people with special needs.
Yes.
If a pregnant mother comes, or if a mother comes with a small baby, somebody who has any disability, whether can't see, can't walk properly, in a wheelchair, we give them priority.
Or the elderly.
Yes, elderly.
The humane must also.
Yes.
Yes.
So we give priority to those ones to vote. And then now, the able-aided like us, we go to vote. But we allow everyone to vote so long as you've come time. You've been within there from 6 to 5 p.m. We allow. Yeah.
And then after casting the ballot.
Now you asked about
yes.
to dismiss between the physical register and the
yes,
digital
exactly.
register.
Yes. Yeah.
I want to say first, this digital register we are talking about is like a tablet.
Right.
You see an iPad, something like that. It is portable.
Yes.
It is portable. It has a camera there, which it has a camera which can identify you. It has a SD card. SD card. It has fingerprint scanner. Okay, the one which was used to fingerprint.
Yes.
Inside it has an inbuilt battery. It has now the register. Now the physical register, just not the physical register. Physical register is typed, keyed in a computer, and is in a text form, you know it. So it's just been gotten a copy and inserted into that KIMS kit. Okay? And that KIMS kit has your registration details. Because when one went to register, they used that KIMS kit to register a voter by taking that fingerprints, your photo, keying in your ID details, and you fill a form for those details. So inside there is that register, which has all your details, including your fingerprints, 10 of them, and includes even your eyelids and the face. It's there. So it's like taking a physical register. Let's use maybe a disk, flash disk, the way you can get information from a flash disk and print.
And print, yes.
Or get and transfer to. It's just like that. It's that simple. So what is inside there is what is outside. There's no difference. The only difference is that the physical register doesn't have fingerprints. Okay? it doesn't have fingerprints because, people die daily, for example. God forbid, but it does happen. If it is physical register, that time you'll not know. If you are to just use and cross, it's very difficult to know who is who.
That's right.
But if one was to work physically to vote, fingerprints are unique. No two people share the same. So when it's used to identify you, it will show actually it is you, and we'll know the actual person as the actual registered voter as voted. So when one goes inside to that polling station, the first thing is to use that KIMS kit. KIMS kit is offline. I told you, it's not connected to any power. I've said it has inbuilt charger,
backup,
battery, all those backups. Yes.
Info specific.
So when you walk to a polling station, just walk with your ID alone, or
the primary document,
passport. Yes, you don't need that slip you are given.
No.
That slip was just to show that to give you confidence that you applied. In the event of anything, you can use to produce and say there's evidence.
Right.
But that day you just need two documents. Either an ID
or passport.
Or a passport. Yes. When you reach inside, they'll take your ID. Okay? They take your ID, and there are two ways. One, there is where you'll go, you just put your fingerprint. If one files, you go to another one, you have 10. There are people who do a lot of work, such that some fingerprints are.
That's right, yes.
So you'll put your fingerprints. It pops up your details. They take your ID or your passport, they compare your face and the number of the ID if it's the same one. And then you are given your 6 ballot papers to vote. Even if you don't want to vote for other 6, you want president only, you'll be given 6. And vote for your person, the others you just fold and put inside for accountability of
So you're required, you'll be given 6.
Yes.
Even if you only want to vote for
president alone, for example.
That's your choice.
That's your choice.
However, you'll still be given 6. And the ballot papers, whose property are they? Why I'm asking this is that should I choose only to vote for president?
Yes.
Remember in the booth.
Yes.
Remember in the booth.
We don't know what you are doing.
And I'm alone.
The secrecy of the vote, and you are alone.
And I decide now I've been given 6, but these other 5 I can keep. Is that legal? Or is that
no, you cannot keep. Since you are given 6, there are 6 ballot boxes with different colors, marked for each position.
Right.
That is from MCA, MP, women rep, governor, senator, and president. You will see the one for example, once you vote for president, you take the one for senator. If you don't want to vote for any, just fold, put in the box of the senator. For women rep like that, for the other, so that we can account for those papers.
If I don't,
if you don't, it will be like a spoiled vote. Yes, so we'll count as a spoiled vote. Okay? But we want to account. Remember, one of the issues which came up from Supreme Court is that presidential
seemed more.
Were more. Than, because some people went and said, I just want to vote for the president.
Only.
And they were given only one ballot. How will you tell this person came and by giving them 6, you'll know it's somebody who came and went through all the process. And it also account for people who came there. Another issue.
No, but still given 6.
Yes.
Still given 6.
Yes.
So that it's not that I'm only interested in one given one.
Yes.
I'm still given 6.
You have to be given 6, not
now,
1.
When I'm given 6, what compels me, even if I only want to cast 1, that I fold and return the others for accountability and reconciliation purposes?
Yes.
How will you ensure?
We'll ensure because we have a clerk who is there, who is supposed to guide. As I told you, we have 4 clerks. One with kit, one with register. I'll explain that one. There is another one to put for you the ink and everything. And there is somebody to tell you. There is a queuing clerk. You are told what you are supposed to do. Not everybody watches TV. Not everybody has attended these trainings.
Someone to help.
There is somebody to help. And there is again presiding officer. And there is deputy presiding officer. So we'll assist
In any case, the agents also are present.
Are there. They are observing.
What it is
They are
going on.
there. They are agents. They are observers. There is the media. We've allowed the media. We've actually had an MOU with the media to be in all the polling stations and agents. So they'll be seeing what is happening. So the process will be very transparent. Now, if someone goes with this ID, goes with the engineer, and he puts his or her fingerprints, has exhausted all of them, and doesn't get his name identified for a reason, one reason or another.
Murphy's law, it can fail.
Now we call what we call alphanumeric. You take that ID or passport, key in manually. If you are registered and fingerprints fail, it will pop up your details.
Right.
Okay? If it pops up, you proceed to, you are given those ballot papers, they compare the details and proceed.
Yes.
But now, if it fails, now we have that fallback of that register. But remember, we had put that register, the same register we have put on the door 7 days.
It's the same one
it's the same one, which means by that time we will have known whether you are not there, if you had checked and everything, we will have known. But now we go now to the manual register as the last resort to check. If your name is there, we cross it and have you to vote. So we cannot chase you. We have to follow those processes.
And there are escalation protocols within, should that happen, so that then one is able to authorize.
Yes, because there is a form which has to be filled.
Yes.
Even there is an error form for anything else which happens there in the station. The agents will be there. The agents will be shown this person is not there, the fingerprints. We've done the translation, it has failed. But we've checked this register and we think here is his name with the ID. They'll confirm.
Yes.
Before that person is allowed to vote. So I think the process is going to be that transparent. Because we want everybody to do the right thing from that clerk, from that voter, up to us as commissioners. And we want everybody to take responsibility for their actions. So that's why we put so much transparency from where we are told that is the final vote from 34 a.m. So if we do that, I don't think there's going to be any...
I think what is key...
Because if you are not in the manual register, it means you didn't actually...
You're not there.
You're not there.
That's right.
It's either you are there or you are not there. Yeah.
I think what is key for me
is
to belabor, as it were, the point that once you've been identified, you're given 6. Those 6 are yours to cast, even if you only opt to cast for one or some of them.
Yes.
However, when you're given those 6, for purposes of accountability and reconciliation, you are required
to
not
place,
to may, but still place in. So that then you minimize this instance where after, and I can assure you, there are those of us, Vichongumu, who will not put in the 6, put in only 1, get out.
We'll be watching.
So you
because if you are given 6, we don't know whether you'll mark all of them.
However you marked, whether
or you don't know.
But we need you to still put in 6.
Because secrecy of the vote, it is a secret. We don't know whom you voted for.
That's your
right.
We
don't know. We don't want. What we want to see you to emerge with 6 ballots.
And you must surrender 6.
And then
insert 6.
Because we've even made it easier for the voter for the first time. We put different colors.
It's color coded, yes.
And even lids are different colors. And even ballot papers themselves are different colors.
Matching those boxes.
So the voter will just know this one goes to this. You'll just match the ballot plus the box you put. And all agents will be there. So we'll be seeing you moving from one box to the other one, and to see that you put all the 6.
And the boxes are transparent. We can see
and the ballot is ballot box is transparent.
Yes.
So you cannot go with 6 ballots inside to the voting booth and then come with 1.
No.
You have to explain where did the 5
others. Exactly.
Yes. Because if you don't vote, we have to ensure that you don't walk out with any.
That's the point.
And we tell somebody when you are given those 6, you are told 6, confirm there are 6. somebody has to confirm as they go because you are given by the clerk. So when you go with 6, you have to come back with 6.
That's right.
Yes.
So now you've gone through the process, you've
Yes.
cast, and now at the end, it is your finger.
Your finger is
marked.
put, yes.
Yes, indelible ink.
Indelible ink, yes.
Where should you go after that?
After you finish
Go
voting,
home.
you just go home. Because we don't want people to
Those
be
are
around,
crowds.
especially the 700 radius. We don't want, but we'll encourage voters to go home.
Yes.
Because those things we are airing on, I told you on public portal. In the polling station for agents and others, we'll have a screen to be seeing whatever they've signed and everything is what is being heard. Presidential will have been transmitted. So, and they are agents and observers. So we don't want voters also to mill around.
In terms of announcing the results, just recap for us, what does the law provide for in terms of, should it be immediate, or people begin, how come there seems to be a delay? But it is within, what is the allowable time within which results must be
announced?
Made? Yes.
Yeah, what I know, the law for presidential, we are given until 7 days.
Up to 7 days?
Up to 7 days, because remember, we have also diaspora.
Yes.
Voting for president. And we need the physical. Physical.
For the ultimate
that
last result.
for the ultimate,
Physically come
before
from us.
announcing the results.
Even if we have.
Which means if
yes.
it is in a country like US where you can take 2 days or 3 to flying,
yes,
depending on
provide for
connections, if you don't get the direct one from New York,
Yes.
depending, it means we have to wait until the physical, copy comes. So for presidential, the law allows up to maximum of 7 days. For others, it doesn't have that 7 days, but as soon as the staff are through. But what we've done this time, differently also, is we've trained our officers that once voting has been finished, to start with counting presidential first, so that it doesn't bring anxiety. And since, again, all of them have to come to Nairobi. Remember the others, like for MCA and MP have to be announced at the constituency level. For women rep, governor, and senator is at the county level. The distances are not very far. But for presidential, it is in Nairobi, Bomas. Meaning, if we have it read last, it will bring a lot of anxiety and delays.
That's right, yes.
So this time we are doing
Prioritize.
it differently. That's another thing we are doing differently to ensure that we start with the presidential counting everywhere. We've told our staff, all election officials, officials that when counting starts, when you are through and you want to start with the presidential box, so that we finish early, as they bring now, because they have to bring physically, and the other will have come advanced. So results, whether in polling station, whether in the constituency, county level, or at the National Talent Center, it cannot be announced until all the forms. There is Form 34A for presidential at the polling station, 34P at the constituency, then 34C at the Bomas. Until all those forms have been seen, reconciled, you cannot.
It cannot be official.
It cannot be official until that is announced officially. But it is professional results that time.
Yes.
But we've also asked the agents, parties, and their members. They can tally the results, but they should not announce the results. They just reconcile. They compare with what IPC is doing, but the final announcement is the National Returning Officer for the President and the others returning officers in
It's not a
respective
gray
places.
area. They cannot announce, but they can show the trend because
Yes, they can show. We want them to see the trend.
Yes.
They want them to see how the commission is putting together the Form 34As. Whatever was done at the polling station is what is being transmitted, is what is being tallied. So they have that leeway, but not only not to announce. Where there are errors, we have an error form. And if there is any issue, the court is there to sort it out. Yes.
Now, I want us to quickly get to the question of ethical versus legal. And I'm so glad you've got a legal background.
Yes.
There are some of us who will get to do masters in 3 weeks.
Yes.
Like magicians.
Yes.
And then IBC will say, who is the complainant?
Yes, exactly.
How do you deal with the ethical versus vis-a-vis legal?
Yes.
In terms of documentation, authentication, verification
of documents.
You get me to go through a whole process of, and I think I'm aware, I stand corrected. I think the independent candidates, they were excluded by the High Court from having copies of IDs to physically bring, and yet maybe, just maybe before that, that could have been a reason to filter out 1 or 2 candidates. How are you dealing with it?
Yeah, I want to say first, in terms of the legal and ethical, especially in clearances, especially in terms of documents for 1 to 5. Let me be specific to elections. As we started, I told you we don't work in isolation.
That's right, yes.
We work with other stakeholders. And in this regard, mainly, we work with the CURE, Commission for University Education. We have EACC. We have OTPP. First, what we did, when we received the list of candidates, which now had gone through primaries and they were now, who have been confirmed and ready to fight, those who have passed the nomination process and everything. We sent those copies of their personal details to EACC, OTPP in case somebody had been convicted for more than 6 months, and still serving or as a case, and EACC to check on other issues of integrity. CURE comes in especially for international certificates, which are not issued in Kenya. But for those which are issued in Kenya, they are certified by the respective accredited universities. Okay? You see the difference?
Yes.
The other ones, they do it for us international because we don't, that's not our mandate. We don't have that function or a capacity to do so. Now, so that's the law. So when it comes, EACC gave us names. CURE cleared some, never cleared some. We only know those which were cleared because those finally landed at our respective returning officers' desks and they were cleared to fight. Now, that's the law. And even when EACC gave us some names, there is a provision that you cannot deny somebody to fight until the process is...
They've also all allowable avenues.
Yes, and we follow the law. So I want to see, in terms of the law, we follow the law to the letter. And we go by what the court also tells us. If there is an order to certain effect, we have to go as per that. Likewise to ODPP. Likewise to CURE. Ethical. It is actually, it's like morality. Is it morally ethical? And it has mostly to do with you as an individual. What does your conscience tell you? Even before you do anything. Should you do it because Edmond is seeing me? Or is I think he'll know, or I should do it as part of ethics? That's professional ethics, individual ethics. What do you stand for? So it is, that one, when you go to it, it's a debate. There are people who think doing things certain way, so long as nobody's seeing me, I can get away with it. But there are those people with their conscience, like myself, knowing that I'm supposed to do
it
this
way. Yes, stand for the right thing.
You do the right thing, whether somebody is seeing you or not. Yeah, you should not anger on anybody. And where in doubt, you have the laws to guide you. Like when we took our oath of office, you swore to uphold the law and to do that pertains to it. At my level, I cannot do the wrong thing and say I didn't know. Ignorance of the law is not defense.
It's not defense at all.
So the laws have been put in place for us, and where there is doubt, we should have the courts to interpret for us. Parliament makes the laws. So that is where the issue now. So what was the other question?
Now, because you find that it was just all about balancing between ethical vis-a-vis.
You talked about the issue of the independence.
Yes.
And the issue of the IDs.
Yes.
And everything. As I told you, we are law-abiding commission. Those are provided, the requirements for 1 to 5 for each and every position, from the president to the MCA, are provided in the Elections Act and the regulations, including that you have to be an adult of a sound mind, 18 years, have national ID or that passport. You should have a degree for president and governor. And there are those requirements in law. The issue of even to get supporters, presidential candidates actually get supporters, governors get supporters,
you remove
independent, and it is in the regulation.
Yes.
And it even talks up to copies. Copies of so when a candidate brings, if it's independent, you have to ensure the supporter and seconder are also independent. They don't belong to anybody. If it's for parties, they have to be supporters and seconder have to belong to the same party. So there are those requirements, and they know. This is not the first time we are having independent candidates fight. They fight in 2017. Those regulations have been there. And us who are just doing our work, following what the law provides. And that's why anyone who is not satisfied, they have an avenue to take the interpretation. And that's why the candidates who are not satisfied went to court. And the court has ruled that that issue is unconstitutional. That is what is a ruling. But you don't apply the law retrospectively.
Yes.
Unless there are certain orders given for us to enforce. So as far as we are concerned, we finished the exercise of registering the candidates. And as we talk now, we are in the process of printing the ballot papers and finalizing, because we work within the legal timelines. Actually, they are legal timelines. So you cannot, it will be offending the Constitution and the legal provisions if we don't do the way I told you, the right thing as per the timelines. Yeah.
Now, that's quite interesting, and we'll see, of course, there are matters, some are within the court, so we'll not get into some judice. However, you find that now when you look at IBC, and as we now count down on matters civic education, because information is everything.
Yes.
It empowers you and you get to know. Someone has just shared here and suggested that could IBC consider, because you work collaboratively with other bodies, and here like the Communication Authority, who then oversights media in terms of licensing, the way the rule of 40% local content.
Yes.
Someone here is proposing, why can't IBC also consider getting to have a certain percentage of content in media to be matters civic education, so that then that becomes a continuous relationship in terms of information getting out to the public. Wouldn't that be something you might want to consider?
Yeah, that's a very good proposal. But I would say this first. One, there is voter education and civic education.
What's the difference?
Voter is just like narrow a bit in line with voter education for election purposes.
Specific.
Specific.
Right.
and you narrow it to the voter. That's why it's called voter education. To understand all the processes, election processes, pre, during, and after. Everything which touches on election. The civic education is on the wider aspect. It touches everything beyond voter education. And that is the one now. It will include all the functions, civic education of IPC, maybe boundaries, maybe political processes, electoral disputes, you know. Another function of IPC is we undertake or process election disputes, quite a number, which we did the other day.
Yes.
So, to do that, it's a question of regulation in the law. Because we cannot do it if it is there. So I'll want to invite the media that when we'll be doing the post-election evaluation, because we have some organizations have carried it, like NGOs, other stakeholders, media included, to carry the civic education. We have some we've accredited, but they are not funded by IPC, but they use their own funds. What we do is just to accredit them. What I want to say is we invite the media. After post-election evaluation, we invite it because we normally do reforms which go to Parliament. And they need to bring that proposal so that it's part of the reforms, so that it goes through public participation, because we have a process, and the courts and even the Parliament has emphasized on the issue of public participation and inclusivity. So we want to invite the media that that's a good thing. We need to take it up so that when we are doing the next regulations and election laws revision, it is factored in. So that it is anchored. It is just talking of 40% in law, but it has not been anchored in properly to be part of our function, and for them to be part of those functions we are working in. So it's a good idea. I think we should take it up.
Now, even as we begin to count down on our timing now, how can the church help you? How can the church work with IBC and faith-based but church?
I want to say, church actually is one of our main stakeholders. I didn't mention all of them, but it's one of our main stakeholders, just like the media and the civil society. Like now, as we talk, we're having even private sector meeting the commission.
Yes.
In terms of partnership and consultation. The church, we've worked with church, and they've been a big anchor to us. They've been praying for us. The other day we had ECK. We had actually all the churches congregated. I think Bishop Okinde must be coming from this church. They've been part of us. They've been actually the ones praying for the country in terms of peace, trying to cool the temperatures, trying to ensure that the right thing is done. And I'm happy this time around the church has not taken sides.
Why do you say this time?
It's not. You know, the other time, you know, when you see things in the papers,
yes,
I've not seen myself, maybe other people have seen, but I can see they are non-partisan. Churches have a constituency.
That's right. Yeah.
Constituency. In Kenya, Christians, I think they are more than 80%. And those are the people in church, meaning majority of voters can be reached by the church in terms of civic education. In terms of even telling voters to vote, in terms of telling voters what leaders to vote for, what qualities to look for. It's the church.
How to hold them accountable.
Yes, and the church is there, and that's where church also mentor people. They mentor people to do the right thing, to do what. So if you want any voter to come, the church has the most reach, just like the media.
Another interesting question that has just come through in another 3-4 minutes before we wind down is all about campaigning. When does campaigning start? Does campaign start when you say it starts, or does campaign start before you say? And if it starts before you say, what are you doing about it? You live in Kenya.
Campaigns, official campaigns for this particular election started 20th January.
Officially?
6 months to election.
Now, one asks...
And we advertised it.
Yes, but did it start before from where you sit? Do you think it started before?
Campaigns, according to everybody,
yes,
never stopped. It It's from one election cycle to another one.
We always campaign.
All of us were in Kenya, and between me and you, they've been going on. But official one, which
Yes.
the law mandates IPC, is parties to start 6 months to elections, and which we even published. We published, and one, beyond that period, we don't have the powers as IPC.
So even if one is offending the
Beyond
law,
that period, no. Within the period given, we are supposed to do it. We have the code of conduct,
within the
which we are within the 6 months to enforce. But remember, there are some politicians who had summoned to appear before IPC for anything, for election-related offences, and they went to court. And they went to court. Electoral code of conduct was suspended.
It was suspended.
Meaning IPC cannot enforce it. So we cannot enforce it. That's why you are seeing so much, but that is what we are supposed to do it.
But you're working
we cannot,
with the law. So
what we can only do is, as IPC, is when you hear anything and anybody reports or we see, we forward the same information to ODPP to take action. We are now toothless. But before that, that issue which came from court, I think around 2 months ago,
yes,
we were summoning them. We could even bar anybody from standing. We could caution you, you could fine you, or even remove you from, deny you from fine. We had the powers, but those powers have been taken away from us.
Mischievously, unfortunately.
It's our courts. I told you now we go by what the court says. we have to abide by the law. When the court says,
yes,
don't use it, and the matter is coming up after elections. So it means we cannot enforce
the court. Cycle.
Yes.
And yes.
So we just pray that we just want to urge those people to just be peaceful and do the right thing. Yes.
Campaign financing again.
Campaigning financing, the same thing. We did. We came up with a regulation together with the referendum bill regulation, which is in Parliament. It was not passed. In fact, it was. It's just in abeyance, so we cannot enforce it. That is on the limit of campaign financing. So we hope maybe we'll carry forward. It's one of the issues we'll still want to pursue after elections, because you said, what does the IPC do beyond those? We have so many pending electoral bills with the respective committee of parliament, which we want to pursue and come to a compromise.
And would IBC then raise the flags? Because sometimes this is what we're told, that you've had it, you've brought it late to Parliament, and we're about to close to get into elections. Of course, that creates a perception that you're taking your time, and yet maybe the matter has always been in the right place at the right time. Only that for obvious reasons, it's not given the attention it deserves in terms of timeline.
I want to say that there are two issues here. One is political will, because especially the things to do with money, we'll be monitoring you. That is one. Two.
How do you have capacity to monitor very quickly as we are waiting?
Yeah, before I'll come back to it. Before that, two, those bills we've seen, they were taken to Parliament before we joined in 2021, September. They were taken some as far back as 2018.
Yes.
2020. They have dates and forwarding letters. So to me, I think the question of time doesn't arise. But imagine the question of monitoring, I think there is some fear of unknown, because we want disclosure and transparency. That bill will want to know your source of your funds for election. It will want to know. It limits the amount you use. It requires that you put a budget, which the commission should be able to know, so that actually people don't get money from other sources and use to influence, because we don't want people to be influenced. We want people to vote with their right conscience. And that is where the problem is. So it is the people who don't want to abide by those
I hear
rules.
you, and I pray, of course, at that time,
Yes.
everything will happen in its time.
It's time,
That
actually.
KRA will also be looked
Yes,
in, so that
yes.
then, suddenly, those of us who are donating helicopters,
Yes.
KRA will be interested.
Exactly.
How are you filing nil
How are
plans
you
and you're
getting?
donating helicopters?
Yes. Like me
Then-
today, if I was to have an helicopter and you know what I get, you'll also want to know how.
We want to learn from you so that we also can own
Exactly.
helicopters.
So I agree with Kenyans.
Yes.
That we need to pursue those ones, and they need also use this opportunity also to get the right leaders. They know them, because when you get the right leadership, you get people who are ready to serve this country without fear or favor. They'll be able to push those pending bills on your behalf, so that you can get to know that everybody can do what is required of them and follow the law, because if people don't want to do the right thing, do you think that's a good leader?
No.
For you?
Not at all.
If they don't want to expose what they have, especially in financing, is that a good leader? So I leave that to the Kenyan. Your vote, your choice. Vote wisely.
Your vote, your choice. Vote wisely. What a
Yeah.
place to end. Thank you, Commissioner Irene Masit from IBC.
Thank
It's been
you,
a wonderful
too.
discussion.
Yeah.
Information is power. Do the right thing. Thank you for the privilege of your time. See you next week, same time. God bless.
Thank you very much, too. And our viewers. Asante.